Hello dear viewers, you're watching OBN Horn of Africa Talk to OBN program. In this edition, we'll be talking about digital diplomacy, opportunities and challenges. Today, joined by Dessalegn Masrie, diplomacy and international relations analyst. Dessalegn, thank you for making time to talk to OBN.
Thank you, Daniel, for inviting me. Thank you for having me.
Would you please tell us about the digitalization concept? Why is it important in these days?
Oh, yes, that's a good idea because you asked me about a concept to define. Of course, this is a new concept. Digitization comes along with digital age because now we are living in digital age. So digitalization refers to the integration of digital technologies to everyday life. And that fundamentally change how we live, how we work, how we do things. So when it comes to digital diplomacy, this really means that in a situation where someone uses digital technologies for diplomacy. It doesn't mean that an individual or ordinary people using social media networks or any digital tools to do anything that he does. But when governmental officials and ambassadors, diplomats, envoys, and all those members of the diplomatic corpus use digital tools for the purpose of communicating diplomacy, we can say digital diplomacy. Unless by the term digital diplomacy, it doesn't mean that every activity done digitally doesn't mean digital diplomacy, not. So it should be the one who is working for a certain government, whether it is hosting a state or sending a state, and using digital tools to exercise his duties that make us digital diplomacy.
Diplomacy is being pronounced, these days here and there. Why is it important?
Digital diplomacy involves the use of digital platforms, technologies to manage international relations and promote national interest, regional interest, or common interest. Due to that, and it is a prominent and contemporary aspect. People used to say digital diplomacy, and the media also, provocate for these words. And that's why it has become the most pronounced concept in today's world. Because unlike traditional diplomacy, which relies primarily on face-to-face meetings or through, round-table communications or discussions, negotiations on a certain aspect. Now, today, the diplomacy is exercised behind the smartphones, behind, laptops, or behind rooms, you see? So that most importantly, today's governments are exercising their foreign interventions, dialogues within a simple link. It can be Google link, it can be Zoom, it can be any other meeting rooms, online meeting rooms. So that becomes very necessary for this time because during those traditional times, you need a trusted envoy, you need a team of corpus or diplomatic corpus whom you send for somewhere in the world, and you need also some days in travel and logistics. You need arrangements, a kind of in-person arrangement there, and there is also a protocol how to receive those diplomatic corpus there. Even that indicates how you respect for that states. So states could respect each other and show or understand how they tie their relations based on that protocol, not on the message or the actual work. That becomes history in today's digital world.
What are the opportunities of digital diplomacy, especially comparing it to the traditional diplomacy, which is conventional diplomacy?
Yeah. Impressive. I can say it is even incomparable because, as I said earlier, traditional diplomacy becomes almost traditional, becomes conventional, becomes even history. because we don't need more digital diplomacy anymore, because digital diplomacy offers several advantages than traditional diplomacy. The first one is speedy and efficiency, or you can say efficiency. Digital platforms allow real-time communication that make possible to address global issues almost instantly, because you don't need to spend weeks, months, years, to deliver a kind of a speech or to meet your counterparts on the other sides of the world. If it was even in Ethiopian case during Emperor Theodorus, he used to send envoys and some people from the royal family to Europe, and he don't know whether they arrive there or not. But today, within a few seconds or minutes, you can meet the other person through virtually, so that it is speedy and also efficiency, because you are not exercising diplomacy through the third person. You are meeting that person in front of you through the mobile phone camera or through the camera in front of you, so that this becomes efficient, because you are speaking with the person who you want to speak to without any third person intervention. I don't mean that in today's diplomacy, negotiation and third person is not working. No. Now the advantage gives us for in-person interaction, as we consider ourselves we are on the same platforms. The other one is that wider reach, because today social media are a space for big data. Big data in a sense, you can't measure the data on social media. You can measure in kilobytes, in gigabytes, in any, because they are unmeasurable. That is why we call big data. That means millions and billions, even more data are floated over social media, so that you can have reach many people, many concerned bodies across the globe. You don't know who is concerned about your discussion. It might be one-to-one conversation with one person, but if you share that link for social media and unveil it for the people, you don't know how many people engage with that. So you reach a lot of people. So social media will give us a wider reach in today's diplomacy. The other one is engagement with the public. Diplomacy in traditional days was reserved for ambassadors, diplomats, envoys, and statesmen. No. Today, an 18-year-old youngster can have an impact better than a career diplomat who used to work as an ambassador for 40 or 50 years. If you really ask me the reality, even, people, for example, in Oromia, there is a young person who is called Rache. He has close to 1 million or above TikTok followers. That means he can represent the people, the nation, than a current ambassador with no TikTok account or Facebook account, but have a lot of experience, years of experience. So today, using social media, it gives you the citizen to interact, to exercise, to represent their countries. You can also debate or discuss on major international, regional, national issues on someone's TikTok account. Without the intervention of the state, without the order of the state, without the formality of the ambassadors or something like that. That means that today's social media network gives us public engagement. So the public can have the right to deal on issues that concern about their country. That's why we see many of the youngsters are talking on their social media channels about their country. They show their dressing styles, cost effectiveness. Virtual meetings and online discussions save travel costs and also logistics and make diplomacy more affordable and also sustainable. Because imagine how many diplomats used dollars and foreign exchanges, spend foreign exchanges to participate on certain summits, be it in America, in Russia, or anywhere. But within a single link, you can also invite close to 1,000 or unlimited numbers of people and discuss on a platform without any costs. So that digital diplomacy is good in these ways. So, however, it also requires balancing new opportunities, risks, because they are also exposed for misinformation, disinformation, and also our digital data are breached by cyber threats. So that we need to be curious enough about this. The rest, it is incomparable than the traditional one.
Well, good point. Is the other thing is, digital diplomacy, online diplomacy,
yes,
allows a multitude of actors to discuss foreign policy making, as well increases opinion
yes,
on foreign policy agenda of a given nation.
Yes.
What benefits and challenges do you see in this aspect?
Oh, yes. The main benefit of public engagement in foreign policy making through digital diplomacy is, inclusivity. As you say, the multitudes of actors. That means that before the traditional one, there was state actors. Now, in 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, another second actor was there, non-state actors. The other one is multinational corporations. But today, we also see the involvement of individual citizens, so that that gives an open avenue for inclusivity, because it allows governments to hear from a broad range of voices, not only from technocrats, not only from politicians, not only from scholars, not only from think tank groups, but the government can also hear the wider public through digital platforms, so that it gives more inclusivity. In that case, it also can also be called that responsive and democratic foreign policy. Most of the foreign policy white documents are reserved in area where no one knows whether they are there or not. For example, if you ask the foreign policy of Ethiopia, no one will tell you unless those people who are working in the foreign ministry, so that the people do not know because they were not there and their voice was not there. But now, the white policy documents could be reviewed and revisited using the mass openings, and the time gives the government to hear the wider voices from the citizens. Even in this case, if you ask me, the state of Ethiopia, now Ethiopia is following, citizen-centered diplomacy. In that case, it gives value for the mass. It gives value for the big voice of the people. Additionally, it enhances accountability, as governments are directly or more directly, held to be accountable for their voices, for their actions, for their strategies. That's why mostly we exercise or comment on different social media channels where government, release strategies, new policies, and draft documents. Then we can navigate the social media channels, and we also reflect our ideas. That is another way of getting information from the people. That means we are getting know with that new strategies, policies, and rules and regulations. Or we can also contribute for the draft document before it becomes finalized and become an act. The main challenge is the potential for misinformation and polarization, because when you are a diplomat, when you are an ambassador, when you are a statesperson, you are accountable for the rules and regulations or the values of that institution or the document. But when it comes to open up for the citizen, many citizens may, get involved deeply, and it may be exposed for misinformation or disinformation, or also polarization, because as I said that an ordinary individual may have millions of followers. So if he misleads these followers, then the potential could be high. That means someone could mobilize the people in wrong ways. That is the challenge.
From your observation, how is Ethiopia is going, especially in the effort to digitalize its diplomatic activities?
Oh, they're very challenging question because, I should have to understand the reality on the ground. But I can't deny that the major improvements that I have seen in recent years in Ethiopia, because Ethiopia has made significant strides in digitizing many aspects of its diplomacy, especially in terms of using social media to promote the national interest. Because Ethiopian diplomats are nowadays increasingly using social media tools like Facebook and especially Twitter to communicate the national interests of Ethiopia, especially the high-level statesmen like the strategic communication for peace, for security, just like that. In ambassadors, they often express their ideas on Twitter. That is a good start, because that's a new experience for Ethiopia. In the last 5 years, while I was a journalist as well and working on digital diplomacy and host a diplomatic corner, I have been closely observing the digital movements in Ethiopia. And during the Northern War, other than the diplomatic communities, the people was very, especially activists or journalists or people who are close to for social media, have a huge impact on preventing or against the undue pressures of foreign powers using our social media channels. That motivates the government and statesmen and ambassadors, diplomats to follow after those initiatives. And as of now, I have seen that the staff of the ministry are starting using social media channels. And also, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs also has a dedicated social media channel, Facebook page, and communicate every activity of the ministry through that, in addition to the weekly press briefing. And also, as I said before, ambassadors, diplomats, foreign policy makers used the new digital platforms to communicate, but still we need a significant movement, because in today's digital world, we need to see, or we want to see, an ambassador using TikTok, an ambassador using Facebook, an ambassador using Telegram group, and having a lot of followers, millions of followers, because he can be an example to use in communicating the national interests to the other people, to the other world.
Well, the other thing is, you're a diplomacy and international relations analyst, and you took it further by publishing, writing and publishing a new frontier of digital diplomacy, virtual handshakes.
Yes.
Dessalegn. So what initiated you to write this book?
Oh, finally you came to me, yeah? The book was born out of a need for exploring, the evolving landscape of digital diplomacy. Because when I was a journalist, as I said earlier, I used to communicate the pressures, the undue pressures of foreign powers during the Northern War, and also related to the Ethiopian Grand Renaissance Dam. There were false narratives that, push Ethiopia to get into, treatments or agreements which is not safeguarding the interests of our people, our nation, and also that denies the fact about Ethiopia's contribution to the Nile waters, and it is right over there. So in my communication with ambassadors, diplomats, experts, scholars, I realized that much needed work is on the cyber world, because on that we have been doing a very impressive job by coining different campaigns like No More, It Is My Dam, and many others. Yes, and that was very successful, and some people were at the front like Hermela and others. And the impact of the digital campaign was more of fruitful, and we got significant improvements and achievements through that digital campaigns. So I became more motivated to write digital diplomacy in Ethiopia, in Amharic. But when I searched for different resources on the internet, I couldn't find enough sources than a few articles here and there. Then I looked for a book on a contemporary issues, especially after COVID-19, in 2021, and then after, I couldn't find a book on digital diplomacy. There are a lot of books on diplomacy, on modern diplomacy, even in today's world diplomacy. But the contemporary world was left in the academic as well. So that I changed my mind and start writing this book and give a name virtual handshake, because during the traditional world, you need two persons to handshake and sit in front around the table and discuss on their national interests. But nowadays, it's possible to handshake virtually, where you can say simply hi, but you are somewhere, but you are in front of my camera, in front of my smartphone or a laptop. This is virtual handshake. And this is also the new frontiers of digital diplomacy. In the new frontier, you may not find your enemy in front of you, so you can't fire and kill him. Rather, he is there or she is there attacking against your national interest or breaching your data, your personal data from your social media networks or channels. In that case, you should have to safeguard your digital frontier. That is, I say it, virtual handshakes, the new frontiers of digital diplomacy, to navigate and to show, to unravel, to unveil what the current situation is look like. Because in the digital world, the war is virtual, but the result is, real. Because someone in America could attack you here because he may breach your data, your personal privacy, your personal security, and you may lose everything that you have. You may lose your money in a bank, you may lose your personal data, and you may be hacked by someone else behind. So that if it becomes on the industry, on the diplomatic arena, there are many issues to be secured. In a sense, a state secret. Yes, if you can't keep your your diplomatic documents securely, someone may hack or breach you, or that means there is a series of cyber threats. So unless, in other ways, you understand the digital world and safeguard the digital frontier, you might lose many documents with secret documents by a lack of understanding the contemporary world. So a virtual handshake, the book aims to provide a comprehensive overview of digital diplomacy, its opportunities, risks, and future trajectories, while also offering practical insights for governments, diplomatics, policymakers, even scholars who are working on international relations and foreign policy areas. So that is very important book that I really proud of it.
How helpful do you think this book, especially in Ethiopian diplomacy?
Yes, good question. By the way, this book was inaugurated in Addis Ababa University at Institute of Peace and Security Studies, and many scholars and statesmen were there.
In the presence of officials as well.
Scholars and officials. Among them, Ambassador Dina Mufti and Ambassador and the other ambassadors, and also my former teachers like Dr. Demeka Chisowe and Dr. Jonas Ashini. If I want to share what Dr. Demeka said, he said that this book should be a handbook for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs staff, because it is a quick reference book for those people who are on the diplomatic arena. Because if you wanted to learn more about what is digital diplomacy, how social media tools are important for digital diplomacy, and what does mean cyber diplomacy, what does mean cyber security, and what does mean how AI and artificial intelligence, AI, chatbots, and virtual summits are important for today's diplomacy, and also how LLM or machine learning could enhance our diplomatic activities and how can we also cope up with the upcoming and the existing new world with this book. So this book is a quick reference for ambassadors, diplomats, policymakers. Even it could also encourage policymakers to identify the new areas of diplomacy, especially digital diplomacy, and also write books and papers, and also unravel how Ethiopia is coping with the digital space or the digital world.
Well, the other thing is Dessalegn, your progress in digital connectivity, skill development, and creation of essential digital infrastructure are milestones, especially on the path to digital prosperity. What's your insight that Ethiopia do to succeed on this front?
Oh, yeah. Do you mean that just like Ethiopia has many significant improvements in the past few years? For example, the digital governance is quite new for Ethiopia, but is an old enough concept for the European people. They are, ahead of us 25 or 30 years. But in the last 5 or 6 years, we are introducing concepts like Digital Ethiopia 2025 strategy. This strategy document is a kind of visionary document to show how Ethiopia is going to leverage the digital space to enhance its socio-economic activities. Without economic activities, without economic improvement or modernized economic engagement, a country can't cope up this digital world. Without digital payments, without digital trade, without digital engagement and digital cyber world, you can't be competent with other nations. And so, strategies like Digital Ethiopia 2025 are a roadmap for Ethiopia's efforts to get into this new world. Without strategy, without rule, without documents, without a map and roadmaps, you can't do anything unless you try everything around. So that Ethiopia's bold move, like Ethiopian digital strategy, Digital Ethiopia 2025 strategy, could clearly put how Ethiopia is close to the digital world.
Maybe my last question, what will it take Ethiopia to create a favorable digital ecosystem to compete with the rest of the world?
To build a competitive digital ecosystem, Ethiopia needs to focus on public-private partnership, because in digital world there are a lot of multitude actors, and these actors have the skill, have the money, have the knowledge and the expertise, but they need government to be in line with its strategy policy. Some need policy documents, rules and regulations, so that Ethiopia, the country, need to open the avenue for private sectors and establish a public-private partnership. In that case, it is good to leverage skills, expertise, resource, and rules and regulations. Or the best combination of this could bring something good. The other one is investment in digital infrastructure. We need to improve internet speed. And we need to also provide a free internet access for our citizens. If we really promote, want to see the strong commitment from our people to engage in everyday life, so that there should be, the price should be, very competitive and even free. In that case, we can encourage citizens to participate. The other one is we should have to also support tech talents. There are growing knowledges, emerging talents we see from the youngsters. So you should have to value that youngster for his tech and knowledge and skill and talent. So investment is not only on land, investment is not only on projects, but on talent. So we should have to invest on the young talents to come out of their best knowledge and share their innovative ideas for the public. So the future of digital diplomacy is digitally, and Ethiopia has a potential, to be the leader in this space, both regionally and globally. So let us go for digital diplomacy.
Thank you so much. Dessalegn Masrie, diplomacy and international relations analyst. I thank you so much for making time, your time as well, talk to OBN.
Thank you, Mr. Daniel, to having me and to give opportunities for young talents just like me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Dear viewers, this brings us to the end of today's Talk to OBN program edition. I'm Daniel Jala, hosting this program with the all studio crews. Thank you for watching.